welcome back to another episode of the Vessel Podcast. I'm Devin Lancaster, and I'm joined with Garrett Morris. Today we're going to recap um, our marathon and kind of leading up and during the race, post race, and what's next. So initially, we were both going to run the marathon together, but
I did not.
right. So you have some questions.
Yes. So,
Let's run through them.
all right. So, why did you run the marathon?
All right. So a couple reasons. One of our members, Gio, he has been on this fitness journey now, and so he's pulling us in to doing
Yeah.
all these different events.
Something looked kind of crazy.
Right. So marathon was one of them. He asked if I want to do it, and I was just like, sure, why not?
Yeah.
So I started training a little bit, just running a couple times a week. But really, at the core of it, I I enjoy lifting weights,
Yeah.
and I haven't had a goal or something that I've really had to train for in a couple of years that I don't want to do. You know what I mean? So I really wanted to try something that I've never done before. I knew it was going to be hard. Like I was going to show up nearly every training session, like in the brunt of it, and not want to do it. So it was really about doing something hard that I've never done before.
Did you want to work do a marathon prior to that invitation, or is it just something that,
Well, around the time that we started training that the hybrid movement,
Mhm.
have you seen anything about that on like YouTube and stuff? That's kind of taken off. And so a bunch of those guys are like workout guys who are also running. And so I've thought about doing a marathon, or at least like in my head, I've thought like, all right, I could do that. But before him, like actually asking me to do it with him, nah, I probably wouldn't have done it.
so like a few things like how long did you train for it leading up, and then what program did you follow? Because I know you didn't just do what I was gonna do and just increase mileage each week until you get to 26 miles.
Yeah. So for a second, talk about what you were doing for about a month.
I mean, it was working, So I started off with about a 5K, and each what we was running probably 2, 3 times a week, but that Sunday was our long day, and I was adding a mile each week, and I was trying to get you know running a couple of 5Ks or a couple 5 miles, Tuesday, Thursday, and then Saturday or Sunday we're increasing. So if we're at 5 miles, next week be 6, 7, 8, and then we get up to like 9, and then football started, and it was just like it was hard to keep the mileage up. So
So that's actually not bad.
no,
I thought you were only running one time a week
no,
and increasing the mileage until, but that's so that's not too far off from like
no.
any training
But it
plan.
wasn't like as strict and as detailed and as extreme. I feel like yours is.
Yeah. And mine, there are stricter versions, but this was my first marathon
Yeah,
and my last.
and you did very well.
Thank you. So I kind of took like I kind of took like three things and then pieced them all together. So Katie followed basically a marathon training plan that the Chattanooga Track Club gives out. They have like several versions. They got like, your intermediate, your advanced, your novice. They have all these different versions. And she was following the advanced, just not that she's an advanced marathon runner, but I mean, she's pretty close,
Yeah,
you know. Um, so she was following that. And then I found one online. Um, whose plan was that? I don't remember whose training plan it was, but and then I basically tweaked it to kind of also like fit my needs. Um, so it was kind of like a combination of all the three. Basically, the training peaked out at 61 miles for the peak week. Um, and I started out just like you. I ran maybe two or three times the very first week,
yeah, like
and there were
15, 20 miles starting out.
yeah, I think my first week was like 8 or 9 miles,
Yeah,
for the whole week. And then it slowly built. And I did most of my mileage was probably between like 45 and 55 miles a week, majority of my training. And then there was a couple weeks that were more than 55, and then that one that was at 60 or 61. Um, so, but the day to day training, I had to focus on my aerobic base, like not being a runner. Um, my leg strength is fine. My anaerobic capacity is pretty good. Like my sprint output is pretty good. But I needed just to have time on my feet. You know what I mean? Like anything else, like I just needed time doing the
Yeah.
thing.
Well, your feet always hurt.
Right. So like my feet would hurt, my hips would get real sore to begin with. Um, and our training started in late May, early June. So really like summer months. So I really wasn't focused on pace at all. Um, I just tried to do the mileage at
Yeah.
like I wouldn't even really look at my watch at pace or heart rate.
Yeah, because I mean, we were starting out, we were at like zone two, zone three starting out. It wasn't a very hard pace. And obviously, that pace increased as it went on. So it wasn't very hard. Um, but so, like, what did it look like trying to balance strength training as well as all the other programming that you had to do 60 plus miles in a week toward the end?
Yeah, that was nothing really changed when I first ramped up my mileage. So when I started to really get into like running every single day, um, my mileage was at, 30 something miles, 40 something miles. And that's when my strength took a hit. Like I could immediately feel it on my legs, like the first time we squatted. So I really had to put like my ego to the side and be like, I really don't care about my strength numbers right now. Like this is a priority. So I would still do the whatever the workout was. My upper body numbers never changed. Like they were fine.
Yeah,
But once my body got adjusted to the mileage, my legs adapted and I was just as strong. Like I hit 365 on back squat for 2 weeks before the marathon. So not, my legs adapted fine. And I was still lifting and running every day. So pretty much what I would do is I would just do the class workout with the class. Um, and then I would either run in the mornings or in the evenings. Um, Preferably the mornings, but there were some nights where I wouldn't get off the treadmill because I'd have like an 8 mile run and I wouldn't get off the treadmill till like 10 o'clock at night. Then have to eat dinner and do it again. Like
yeah,
that was the hardest part of it all was like the training.
yeah.
Like that was really tough.
So, like, you lost, I mean, you naturally weigh like 200, 205, and you dropped like 10, 15 pounds.
Yeah,
So what did you do to like, you're running that much. A lot of people lose more than that. So what was your nutrition like? How much were you eating? What were you eating?
I wish I would have tracked it.
Yeah,
I just based off feel. I mean, I really did not care about the carbs I consumed or what they were from. So there was a bunch of times I was just eating candy to get like carbs in pre-run. Like I didn't really care. I was drinking a ton of juice, especially leading up the week of the race. I drank like probably 3 gallons of orange juice um, just to get carbs in. So I really didn't care about the carbs. I wish I would have tracked to make sure I was getting enough carbs because I bet like in those summer months I wasn't getting enough carbs. But there was a couple days more than I mean probably once a week I was drinking a whole gallon of apple juice in the summers. Um, like for example now post marathon I'm trying to get my weight back up. I want to get to like 215, and so I'm tracking now, and the carbs I'm having to eat are insane.
yeah,
So I wish I would have tracked it then to make sure I was getting enough. But like my protein never changed, and I just ate off a feel. Like I knew how much protein I needed to get, um, and there was a couple runs that I could definitely feel like I'm underfueled.
yeah.
Like I didn't feel like I had much gas in the tank, and so the next day I would just try to do better about making sure I was eating more.
Kind of hit on the training was obviously the hardest part for overall. But talk about like race day, like leading up to race day, what was hard, what were you doing differently, and then obviously on race day, and we'll talk about post in a minute.
Yeah. So, leading up to race day, about 2 weeks out is when my taper started, like my running taper. So I went from that peak week of doing 61 miles, I peeled it back to like 40 something miles. It may have been 3 weeks out. I did like 40 something miles. I did like 20 or 30 miles. And then that last week before the race, I think I ran a total of like 8 to 12 miles. Um, and that's when I started peeling the volume back off of my lifting as well. Like, so I'd still do all the lifts, but I wouldn't do all the accessories, and I wouldn't do if we had a metcon for the day. I wouldn't do the metcon, just to try to peel back some of the intensity. I wanted to have enough juice in my legs, but I didn't want to lose. Like I still wanted to have some snappiness. You know what I mean? Like I still wanted to have. I don't want to feel like super flat. You know what I mean? So that was leading up, and then the week of the marathon, um, pretty much just tried to, if I wasn't training, I tried to just conserve a lot of energy, and I really tried to up all my carbs like a lot, just to try to stay full, stay on top of it. Now on race day, um, this this was this was I think what got me through it. So when you line up for a race, this was my first marathon. This is actually my first distance farther than a 5K, like officially. Like obviously in training we ran like a ton of halves and a ton of 10Ks and whatever else, but like officially this is longer than a 5K. So the fastest pacer that they had was 3:15. Well, my goal going in there was to run a 2:59. Um, so my watch had predicted me to run a 3:07. So, and never ran before. I don't know, I know it pulls data from like heart rate and like your paces when you run and like all this kind of stuff. Um, but I didn't know if that would be accurate or not, you know.
Yeah,
So when you line up, you're around people who are going to run about the same as you, right? So we're like at the start of the big line of everybody. This guy looks at me. He's a young guy. Find out he's the same age as me. He goes, "What's your goal time?" I was like 2:59. He said, "Okay, me too." And I was like, "Okay, well, how confident are you that you can run that?" He was like, "Well, my watch says 3:01. I've hit all my paces and all my workouts." Um, I was like, "Okay." Mine says 3:07. And then I asked him, like, "Is this his first marathon?" And he said this was his third. So he's definitely more experienced than me. This is my first time doing it.
yeah,
And so I was like, okay, immediately. And that's a conversation we had in about 3 minutes before the gun went off for us to run. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna stick with you as long as I can. And we'll just do it. He said, okay, great. So we start, and immediately I'm so glad that I had him because I mean, he paced this thing for the first half, like that I was with him perfectly. It was awesome. So we start out, and he's able to talk. Like I'm a little bit too much out of breath to be like holding
yeah,
a conversation.
yeah.
You
I
know,
can't do that.
right? Like we were moving pretty fast. So me and him are running. Um, we're not listening to music. Like we're racing this thing. We're not taking a stroll. So shoot,
I would have listened to music.
would you?
Yeah,
Uh, that's what a bunch of people ask. Like, what
just
would you
listen to
listen
your
to?
own thoughts, and
Yeah, just negative self-talk and heavy breathing. Like so,
that's what I don't want to do is listen on breathing because I feel like it just throws me off.
yeah. Sometimes it does. Sometimes, like when I would run with Katie, it would make me out of breath because her cadence, her footsteps are a lot shorter than mine, and so for me to keep her same foot cadence, if we're running next to each other, I have to run a lot faster pace because my strides are longer. So I would be like so out of breath trying to keep her little quick foot cadence, and so I had to just give up on that. But anyway, so we start the race, and he's already like he's great because he's like, hey, we're gonna pull it back right here, and then we'll push up here. Like he knew the course pretty well. I think he did a lot of his training runs on the actual course. Like me and Katie ran in the battlefield a lot, but it wasn't it was sections of the course, but it wasn't the exact course. So he he's like, all right, we're gonna pull it back here. We'll speed up here, which I'm thankful for because a lot of the of maybe the first 3 miles, I could have ran faster, especially uphill. I felt like my legs felt really strong and I felt good, but I just stayed right with him. And so we were racking in 640, 638, 630 or 642. We're racking in these fast miles. Somewhere along the way, this lady kind of linked up with us, and now she's running with us too. She was from South Africa, so she was running in kilometers. So it was pretty good. Like he was watching his heart rate and pace, and I didn't care to know my heart rate. Like I knew it was going to be high, and if I looked, it would probably stress me out. So he he was looking at heart rate, and I was just, our paces were pretty similar. He had a different watch than I did. He had a Coros, I had a Garmin, and then the lady was running in kilometers, so we were all like just making sure that we were all on time for everything. And so at mile, I'm trying to think what mile it was. At mile 8, we're running, we're cooking, like we're running fast, or what's fast to me.
Yeah.
We're holding in the 640s. To run a 2:59 marathon, you got to hold roughly a 6:52. So we're ahead of pace, um, which is good. I'm feeling good too. Like I'm feeling really strong. And so at mile 8 or mile 10, he says my heart rate is higher than I want it to be. So I definitely didn't look at my heart rate until after the marathon. Like I didn't care to know what it was because talking to some people who have ran marathons before, and especially if you're trying to run fast, you know, it's a race at the end of the day. So like if you feel like you got it, go. Push if you got it. If not, pull back. So then at like mile 10, he says, this hurts more than I want it to. And I said, that's okay, it's supposed to. And he was like, let's go. Like he was like, firing him up. And um, so we're trying to encourage each other along the way. Him and the lady are kind of like talking. I'm not talking near as much as them. And I told him, I was like, hey, I'm not going to be, I'm not trying to be rude, but I can't talk and do this. My capacity is not that good.
Which,
Um,
makes you want to think, would they should have ran faster.
well, the lady did hold the pace.
Yeah.
I'll tell you her time at the end. So um, I'm feeling strong, feeling so strong. And right at mile 10, like this. So at mile 10, we've already been running over an hour.
Yeah.
That's a long time to think. so and so I've already played out the ending in my head like several times, like because I felt so good. I was like, "It's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna look at this guy with a mile left and still have some juice in the tank and ask him, hey man, let's race." That did not happen. That did not happen. So then at approaching mile 13, like right at the halfway point, now I'm starting to hurt and I'm starting to like let out some noises as I'm running, like some aches. Um, and so there was a little turnaround. We had to go around this like little sign thing. We had to go around. There was a couple like turnaround points, and so like right as I turn it, I coughed and dry heaved a little bit, and I was like, "Dang it!" And I see them; they're able to hold the pace. So looking back at my watch, we ran a 128 half
Yeah.
marathon,
It was about there. Yeah.
640 something pace. So we're ahead of schedule. If I could have continued to hold that, it'd have been roughly a 2:56, 2:57 marathon, which beats my pace. Well, I have to slow down, and I can see them, just kind of keep moving, which sucked to see. But I was able to, they didn't completely leave me in the dust yet. So for mile 13 to 20, I ran roughly a 7:15 pace, somewhere in there. And for, I'm trying to think how many miles. I could see now those two are also starting to separate. The guy I was with had either, slowed down some, um, and the lady was able to hold that pace. She ended up finishing first for the women. Um, and she ran a 3 hour and 16-second marathon. So she won it. She was flying. Um, and the guy ended up running a 3:12, I think. So he held his pace better than I did too. But from mile 13 to 20, I ran roughly a 7:15 pace. And I was hurting all through then, like especially like mile 18, 19, and 20, like really starting to hurt. Like, and then 20, it was just like a wall. Like my legs stopped moving. And so from mile 20 to mile 26, and really from like 23 to 26, that's the hardest thing I've ever done. It was like just one foot after another, like pick up my legs and go. Um, and that's when my pace really slowed. Um, and so I ended up finishing at 3:26, and I even had to walk a couple of the parts on mile. There's two hills. There's two hills that I was running, and I'm continuing to run, but it's like I think I can walk faster. So I look at my watch, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna walk it uphill. So I walk, and my pace was faster walking, and then I could also like run downhill. Um, but that was the hardest part was mile 20 to 26 was my legs.
Because you started cramping. So do you think maybe the hills were not something you were adapted to? Maybe like in training you didn't do enough hills, or was it like you just maybe came out a little too hot at the beginning, or you contributed maybe the time of the day? Because I mean, you really didn't run, around 7, 8 o'clock in the morning very much. It was usually earlier or in the evening.
Yeah, I don't think it was the heat or the time. Like most of our long runs were on Sundays after church,
Yeah,
and the heat of summer. So like the heat didn't affect me, and it did end up getting hot that day.
yeah.
It was like in the 70s.
I mean,
But just
you didn't eat anything before, did you?
yeah, I had two scoops of G1M Sport. I had an energy drink for the caffeine. I had some sourdough toast that Katie had made. What else did I have? Oh, and I had my breakfast protein shake that had oats and everything in it. So yeah, I had eaten. Um, I had 6 gels during the race. So like one thing, and this is common with a lot of marathon plans, but we didn't run past 20 miles. So that was like the unknown.
Yeah,
And so when I really had about a mile left, I tried to kick it back in gear. Um, and that's when my both of my hamstrings completely locked up. Like could not, I'm like I was trying to like shuffle sideways to move, and I've never experienced cramping like that. Like that was the worst pain ever. So when I cramped up, like I'm already hurting, and I'm like really close to the finish line, like probably half a mile, and I'm praying out loud. Guys are passing me. They're like, "Come on, big dog, you got it, big dog." And it wasn't a matter of fact like I couldn't move, and so finally they uncramped, and I was able to finish strong.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I'm not sure. Like thinking back now, like if I would have slowed my pace down to, for example, if I would have just stayed with the 3:15 pacer the whole time, would I have still had to slow down and still finished at 3:26, or because that pace was just overall it was overall faster than what I finished,
Yeah, enough
but it was
buffer.
slower, than I initially started.
Yeah.
So I thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, when you're doing it, and, like you said, it's pretty common to not do the 20 to the 26. I just felt like, getting into that chunk of 6 miles to the degree just to see how it felt. Because if you got a couple miles left, you could probably finish if you're feeling fine, but 6 miles is still a lot. So,
Yeah, 6 miles at an 8 minute pace is still 48 minutes.
yeah,
Like that's a long time.
yeah,
That's still almost an hour of running,
yeah,
and it probably ended up being close to an hour for me for how slow I was going on the last
yeah.
six.
So just looking back at it now, I mean, I feel like if you did another marathon, you know, that you would probably run a longer distance leading up to just kind of fill it out.
I'd like to for confidence
Yeah,
reasons, you know, like once you do something once, even if it was at a slower, just training zone two pace,
yeah,
I still know like I've got 26 miles in the tank.
yeah.
Um, so I would like to change that in training. Like, yeah, I probably would do maybe one, or maybe even if you don't go to 26, like go to 24.
Yeah.
You know,
You
um,
got up to what, 20?
20. We did 20. I did 20 twice,
Yeah.
and Katie did 23 times.
So I feel like 22, 23 would be probably a good stopping point.
Yeah,
Have a 5K left over.
yeah. 22 is also common. That just wasn't on either one of the plans that I pulled from.
Yeah. I feel like if you did it, because you said you hit your biggest wall at 20, so you would have kind of, okay, I hit a wall. I need probably to adjust my paces.
Yeah,
Jump it like 10 seconds a mile, and then you're probably not, dropping off 2 minutes off pace toward the end.
right. So yeah, because that probably would have kept my heart rate down. So like my heart rate stayed pretty steady looking back at the watch data. And whatever they say about these heart rate monitors, like is it close? I don't know. Like I'm not wearing a chest strap, but this had me at basically the whole first half. I was holding around 180, 180 was my heart rate. And then after the first half, you could see the trend of my heart rate had peaked, and my heart rate starts slowing from from 13 to 26. My heart rate goes down, but the thing is, as my heart rate was going down, my legs were getting really tired.
Yeah.
So
I feel like also running the 22, 23, you'd probably go to gauge and like, did I hydrate enough? Should I probably sit or had hydration at some point later on? I mean, I know the gel and that sun hydration, but not probably as much as you probably would have been need to take in.
yeah, so they had like little stations every 2 miles,
Yeah,
um, and so for the first 2 to 4, the people I'm running with, they're grabbing waters and slinging them back. So I grabbed some waters too. I'm thirsty. That took more energy out of me to drink the water
yeah,
because we're still we're not stopping and taking a drink. You know,
yeah,
um, so to throw it on my face made me more out of breath. So at some point, I quit taking the waters.
yeah,
I would just take my gels. I took one gel every 4 miles,
yeah,
which was roughly every 30 minutes.
yeah. Maybe do a camel pouch, camel backpack next time.
Yeah, so
It's probably, I mean, I know the trade-off is you're carrying weight for that same time,
yeah,
but
yeah, that's an option. Katie debated taking one or having a camelback. She ended up not needing it. I don't think it helped that the thing was every 2 miles. Like
yeah,
that was pretty nice.
yeah. I mean, you could have put it on over halfway and then
Right.
have it at the halfway mark.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Gio's running another
Yeah,
marathon in December, and he asked for me and Katie to do it. And Katie was like, "Well, we're already trained up. Like, why don't we just go ahead and do it?" I was like, "No."
yeah.
I'm not. No, I'm not doing another one.
which is kind of surprising. I figured you would.
Part of me doesn't want to. Yeah, but let's
But
see. How
you,
many weeks are we post marathon? 2 or 3?
something like that. Yeah.
Okay. So
Is it end of December or beginning, mid?
I think it's right around Christmas.
So you got like a month.
So I'd have to like ramp my. It wouldn't.
Be too much, but I mean, again,
No, you ain't talking me into
no,
it.
I'm not trying.
You
No, I'm not trying to. I'm just saying it wouldn't be too much, but then you also got to think like you got to get in that mindset where you just came out of it. It's
gotta
like it's a
hurt.
quick turnaround.
But this is about like if I wanted to start training again, it would be like right now
Oh yeah,
because like 2 weeks, like 2 or 3 weeks, like take off. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't.
so what is so after the marathon, what did it look like eating wise? I know you probably burned between 2 and 3,000 calories. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I didn't even. I didn't even. A lot of people look at that, like how many calories they burn
Yeah,
in a workout.
but I think it's interesting to know that just so you like what your body just went through in a sense of like calories in, calories out. Like oh, I just burned you know that many calories in one day,
Yeah.
one session. So
So I did look after you asked me, and it was like 35 or 3,600,
yeah,
which is basically like a full day of eating. Um, now that does make sense because previously, like every time I weighed leading up to the race, especially like the last 2 weeks, I weighed like 193 to 195. Like you said, I stayed between 200 and 205 before the race, or before I like started training for the race. So the week after the race, I guess that was Monday or Tuesday, I weighed, and I weighed 188. So that's the lightest I've been since like high school.
yeah.
So that my ego took a hit a little bit because that just my whole life I've always been like on a weight gain plan. And so for me to have to like literally not worry about my weight because I had this other goal in mind, like I just mentally I had to overcome some things. Um, so post marathon, last week I weighed 196. So I've already put like a bunch of the weight back on.
I mean most of that's probably water weight
Yeah.
and electrolytes and those things, water retention.
So now what my food looks like I'm tracking now because my issue's always eating enough. Like I said, I wish I'd have been tracking during the prep, but so I use MyFitnessPal and I put in my um, goal weight to be 215. Gain about 1 pound a week is my goal. So hopefully in 4 months I'll be 215. Um, Started this last week. My overall calorie intake is 4,300 calories. So it's 4,300 calories. It's 550 grams of carbs. It's between 215 and 230 grams of protein. And then the fats, I don't ever worry about the fats because really, I never hit them. But my fat limit is like 140 grams.
Yeah. I mean you can't drink milk, but like if you drink milk, you could eat it
Right.
because I hit my fat pretty easy.
Last week I was able to hit my my goal every day, but and my fat was like it was below 100.
Yeah, I see. I can. There's no way mine says below 100.
Really,
Yeah, just
I think what got my fat even up that much was the ground beef. And the ground beef is that I use is either 90/10 or 93/7.
yeah.
So it's not like a high fat. Now I will have to watch like maybe maybe I should get a higher fat meat. We do chicken breast a lot, so maybe instead of breast, like maybe we do thighs. Um, if that's after 2 weeks, if I haven't put on as much as I want.
Yeah, avocados, other things like that.
Yeah, yeah. Katie will go on like kicks where she'll eat the same thing for a while, and she was eating chicken avocado toast like for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for weeks during marathon prep. But she was able to, get enough carbs to fuel her. Um, and the fats to fuel her and her protein and everything. So that helped her a lot. And that's an
Yeah,
easy meal to make.
yeah. I mean, what was so like post marathon? Your goal is to go 2:15. Is that your only goal? Is there something else you're moving toward?
Um,
I know
so
you talked about the deadlift mile. Is that something you're set on, or
yeah, I think so. Um, what was it, 3 years ago that I tried to deadlift 500 straight into a sub 5 minute mile.
you tried it a little bit last year too? I think. Was it last year?
No,
No, maybe it was 2 years ago.
yeah, 2 or 3 years ago
Mhm.
is the last time like I really tried it,
Yeah.
and I didn't fully commit to it. I didn't like really tell anybody about it except for like you.
I mean, your
So
deadlift was around there,
yeah, so I deadlifted. I got the deadlift
like a 5:15
at
mile,
5:15 mile. Um,
which sounds pretty close, but 15 seconds is
15 seconds is a lot. And the reason I want to do that now, so the week after the marathon, that same week, so ran the marathon on Sunday. The following Friday, I deadlifted 475.
5 days post.
Yeah. So I think I'll,
And it's
uh,
pretty smooth too. Like you had
yeah.
more than you think.
So I think deadlift will be fine. And now, my thought process is like I have this aerobic base. Like I've just been running for 6 months.
Yeah,
So like let me do 10 to 12 weeks of just speed work. Like I don't even have to have much running volume. If I just do 1 to 2 days a week of like a steady state type of running, and then one day a week of just straight up speed work, whether it's sprints or like some interval work, um, and see what happens. You know, because the mile's not like that's not endurance. I think a lot of people think that the mile is an endurance race.
no, I
It's
mean
not.
three, you can sprint pretty much half of it, and then the last half is just kind of holding on.
Yeah, and that was the kicker for me. The last time I tried to do that was the third lap. Lap one was great. Lap two was great.
The end of that thing.
The end of the third, and then four. You're emptying the tank on four. Like the fourth's not the hard one; it's the third one because you're like, oh, I got one more. So yeah, I think I'm gonna try that, and then the weight, like I don't think that's gonna hinder my mile time. Me being 10 pounds heavier than normal, um, so
It might actually help.
it may help, and we'll see. Um, so hopefully, I guess that'll be. I've started that training plan, so mid-February, I think is when it ends.
Cold.
It's gonna be cold, and then we got to think like, are we gonna do it on a track, or do we run it around here?
Probably the easiest to do it here.
That's what I was thinking,
So you don't have to deadlift and
on
20
a
degrees,
track or on a turf.
20 degrees outside trying to pull 500
Yeah. So if we do it here, the only thing about that is
times and
well, even so, if I do the big loop
yeah,
all the way around City Hall,
it's
it's 3 laps,
yeah,
perfect. But either way we run is there is an uphill,
yeah.
but there's also a downhill. So
Yeah. Three is not terrible. I mean, three mentally probably
three
sounds better.
mentally is better.
Yeah, but then you get the hills and then but you get the downhill. The other issue I feel like is this it's not a controlled environment. There's probably gonna be other people there or obstacles or something.
We probably just have to pick a good time of day, like where the roads, not many people are on the roads.
7 a.m.
7 a.m. Yeah, nobody be here. We'll have to do it then. What are some of like? Do you have any goals or like running goals or?
I mean, my back is flaring up for whatever reason, like posture and other things, and then so I'm getting back to where I was before. So I hit, like you said, I told you I hit 300 clean, which I haven't hit that in a while, and I did it without lifter's belt or whatever. So I was pretty happy with that. Now, clean isn't not the issue anymore. Now it's like deadlift. So like it didn't feel, it doesn't hurt. It just feels heavier. So like getting anything over like 3:15 goes ahead in it for sure. I think it's also like this morning I kind of sit back a little more on my heels and it was easier to pull versus kind of being more of the shoulders over the bar.
like a clean.
But I think I was more shoulders over the bar than I should have been. I don't know. I'd have to look at it on video or something. But yeah, I mean, I would like to gear up for the open again because I feel like my conditioning is not bad. I've been doing sauna once or twice a week, and that's helped. So like conditioning doesn't feel terrible. And I just gotta get my strength level up, and because the running that I did do, I've been running probably once a week, nothing crazy, but that's more than I was doing previous opens.
That's one thing I think that during the plan, I took one day off, one, maybe every 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah,
Like, unless my body just like really needed an off day, like we didn't take an off day because our long run days were on Sundays.
yeah,
And to get all the mileage in, we're pretty much running 5 to 6 miles daily. Some days more, especially on the ramp up, it was like 6, 7, 8 miles daily, and then the long run on Sundays. But I almost, if like time allowed, that's the hardest thing with all this running was like finding time to do it.
yeah. I mean, I was really wanting to at least do the half. I was just trying to get like if I'm gonna do it, I want to do the pace. Like I don't want to just do it. I know I can run a half marathon, but
Yes.
it's like you know, if I'm trying to do it, I want to do it in a certain time. Like I'd like to run in the sevens per pace,
Yeah.
not 8, 9, and just trot.
That's the thing with all of us, right? Like me and you and Katie and even Geo, like we all had like a time goal. Like we all knew we could physically finish a marathon. That wasn't the issue. It was like pushing the pace of like being uncomfortable and like having a true goal, you know.
Yeah,
And like if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it.
yeah,
But I think in the training, I really, if time allowed, and I had all the time in the world, because that's what it came down to, just having enough time to do everything.
yeah,
Ideally, I would like to run, I think, longer runs like during the week. That way, it would allow me to have one off day, and then on the off day, do like sauna and cold tub.
yeah.
Um, or I'd really, if I had a sauna, I'd really like to now I would do it every day. But like in training, I'd probably do it every other day.
Yeah. That's what I've been doing on Sundays is you know just doing sauna, not doing anything. I get enough work throughout the week, um, you know, and then just all the classes and stuff. I've done enough cardio, I've done enough strength. So it's like Sunday, it feels nice just to sweat without having like wear and tear on the body.
Yeah,
And then Monday, I feel actually good, versus like working out and then being kind of colder. You're not really getting as much of the sweat.
yeah,
And then Monday, I feel my body feels good. I mean, I don't feel sluggish because I did sweat. And then Monday morning, I feel like I did a lot the day before, but I feel fresh.
yeah.
That
That
makes
makes
any
a big
sense.
yeah that makes a big difference. Like still getting the benefits of like your heart rate getting jacked up, but then like physically
Yeah.
like not beating yourself up.
Like I don't feel like slug like that whole sluggish. You take a day or two off from working out, and I feel I have to like just to work out to get feeling okay, like getting winded and stuff. And then when I get done with that, now your body is like beat up because you're having to work out and drive the intensity up. So I don't have to do that. So the sauna, I mean, it wasn't a very expensive sauna, but it gets the job done.
Yeah, who cares at work? I would like to. We need to have Katie in here to ask her about her like her thoughts on the marathon
And Geo,
and Geo.
yeah,
We need to have them because she's the runner of the family.
yeah,
Her fastest half times of 1:34, and she had done two halves before this marathon.
yeah,
Um, so she has a much stronger running background, but we'd always mess around because like probably like halfway through the training, you know, previously she'd leave me in the dust on our long runs. She'd have to like jog back and come back and get me, and it'd make me so mad. But about halfway through, I started being able to keep up with her, and then I was the one who was ahead, and I really thought she was going to catch me at the end. That's how, I mean, I was moving slow.
Well, I mean, so in the marathon, I was I was at the finish line, and then we got to the point where it was like, okay, we're getting to that 3 minute mark. So I was like, they said the first
Three
women,
hour mark. Yeah.
yeah, or the 3 hour mark. They said the first women runner is coming in for the marathon, and I immediately thought it was Katie. Like I just assumed it was,
Yeah.
and I didn't know that y'all fell off at the 20, cramping and stuff. And so I was like, oh, okay, well. And then I talked to Scott, and he was like, Devin's hurting.
Oh,
So I was like, I need to go find him.
yeah. They, dude, talking about them for a second, they were the highlight of, for me and Katie.
Yeah,
We got home and we were able to just like unwind and like talk about the day and everything. And like they were there at the start. I didn't know this, but they even like got in the Jeep and like moved around to different spots. I thought they just were able to walk to every
yeah,
spot, but no, they moved around to different spots. Ellie hopped in and run with Katie for like a mile and helped encourage Katie like towards the end. Um, it was just they were such a blessing.
yeah.
Like every time I saw them.
They snuck up on me. I didn't know they were there. There was so many people there.
Yeah,
I couldn't find anybody.
yeah,
So I was just sitting there for like 40 minutes by myself.
yeah.
And they snuck up. I was like, okay, fine. And then your dad showed up. That's about where I had to go
Yeah.
find
Have
him.
fun, yeah. Yeah, that was hurting.
You got anything else?
No, I think we're all good.
Yeah.
All right, good episode. Marathon recap.
Yep.
All right, that's it for this episode of the Vessel Podcast. Follow along, like, subscribe, do all the things. We'll see you next time.